I have 7 o'clock and I call the meeting to order. I rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You. Have you reviewed the agenda?
I make a motion, we approve it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I got you for a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, all in favor. Next is approval of the minutes from November 20th, 25. Louis makes the motion and Mike seconds it. All in favor, say aye of approving the minutes. Aye. Opposed, nay. Hearing none, all in favor. We'll move on to Board of Adjustments. So you're gonna.
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank
Gordon
you.
wasn't able to join us, but the Board of Adjustment did meet this afternoon. And this is relevant to your first item on the agenda tonight. It was a package of considerations that the applicants need to go ahead with their project. The variances that the Board of Adjustment heard was now that the applicants intend an enhanced use of an existing building to include a dwelling unit inside, internally constructed. There's other sections of the ordinance that came into play, one being the prime soils for a new residence, and also this conditional use permit that you're hearing tonight to allow a new dwelling within the shoreland district. The other setback consideration was that the setback at the closest point, at the nearest bend of that little stream in Lanes Valley, the structure was found to be about 65 feet at the closest point. You have a diagram in your packet that shows that the setback was 85 from one corner and I think 75 or 80 on the other corner, but we have to go by the closest dimension. And in this case, that was to basically recognize that the structure got built closer to the stream than what the setback would allow of 100 feet. So there was quite a few comments received by the owners and the petitioners. There was findings of fact that were looked at and 2 conditions, but at the end of the deliberation, the Board of Adjustment granted those 2 variances on a 3-to-1 vote. So that's the Board of Adjustment update for you. Also, we did have a site visit on this first one, and I believe you have this document. It was comments that we received today from the DNR in response to that for your consideration. They were both mentioned to be addressed to the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Commission in that manner. If you have any questions on that, feel free to ask staff. Lou is going to be giving the presentation first on this one, so thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I don't see Marcia.
And Marcia.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Good evening. I'm online.
Oh, okay.
You're coming cyberspace there, huh? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's both weather and maybe a little flu coming on, so I wanted to spare you all.
Anything, Marcia, you want to say?
Yeah, the county board approved at our last meeting both the 2 conditional use permits, Allen and Huff, with no additional comments or conditions placed on them.
Thank you. Any comprehensive plan update? Blue, I don't know if much activity is going on, but you give us a summary.
Just real quick, just let everybody know that we do have a short survey online for general public feedback. You all are welcome to take the survey. It shouldn't take much more than 5 minutes. But we have draft visionary goal statements that are there, and you can indicate your agreement with each of those and then leave comments on them. So if you have the time and wish to do that, I know Eugene and I sat down and went through that and got that done for him.
5 minutes.
It took more than 5 minutes, but I was happy to do it. We had a good conversation. I'll also extend that same offer to anybody else here that wants to sit down and talk about comprehensive planning in general. or the survey or any of the other engagement activities or the process, I'm happy to meet with you and discuss that with you. Just let me know. So that is open. It was open until the end of this week. We're extending it through the end of the month. So if you want to take that survey, please feel free. And then there's also the interactive map that's still there and will be there ongoing throughout the process. So there's two opportunities to provide comments at this time. A steering committee meeting in mid-January is coming up. And then I'm sure there'll be, again, another round of engagement after that in the coming month or so. So that's all I have for now, but if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask or grab me after the meeting at any point, so.
Thanks, Lou. Seeing none, we'll move to our petitions. I'm gonna start out with docket PC 12-18-2501. And it's to consider a petition from Todd and Sheila Waymillers, or property owners, and Mike and Marilyn Kendhammer petitioners who are seeking a conditional/interim use permit regarding the following: to allow a new dwelling located in the shoreline overlay and agricultural resource conservation zoning district pursuant to section 11.3.5 subchapter 3 of the Winona County zoning ordinance. And I believe, Lou, you have this one.
Absolutely, thank you. So this petition is located in New Hartford Township, down by the county line. You can see in the map here, the kind of aqua thicker line at the bottom of the map. That's the county line, with Houston County below that. And about 5 miles from La Crescent is the closest community. The property is in section 36 of New Hartford. And the property is made up of two parcels, a 52-acre parcel and an 180-acre parcel. You know, we'll move ahead and you'll get some closer maps to kind of zero in on the building site. As you can see here in this map, it is within the Shoreland Overlay District. The Shoreland District is a DNR designation, kind of like floodplain. It's overlaid over the base zoning. So the base zoning here is ag resource conservation. And then the overlay district, the shoreline goes over top of it, and it's defined as 300 feet on each side of the stream. The new dwelling is proposed to be 24 feet by 32 feet within an existing structure. And they're proposing 1 to 2 bedrooms. You can see the existing structure there. It was originally permitted as an ag structure. And now they're looking at adding that 24-foot by 32-foot living quarter within it. That still leaves quite a bit of room for, you know, agricultural shed, gravel floor, tractors and equipment storage in that space. The reason that we're here with the conditional use permit is that I just wanted to mention is any new dwellings within the ag district that also fall within the shoreland overlay district require a conditional use permit. So that's why it's before you. Otherwise, it would be a permitted use. It meets the 40-acre minimum. The variances were taken care of earlier today with the Board of Adjustment. So really the only thing left is that one piece is, since it's in the ag district and it's in the shoreland, it requires a CUP. So getting a little bit closer here, these are 2-foot contours on the map, the purple lines. So you get an idea of slope and where the stream and the structure sit in relation to those to each other. You can see an embankment coming up on the side from the stream, kind of straight up towards the building site. Those contour lines are before any grading and filling was done. So obviously there was a little bit of grading there, but as you can see, it's they're up over the slope and in a fairly low sloping area. So there wasn't a whole lot of grading and filling needed. Again, 18 to 20 feet above the ordinary high water mark, and we'll show you how the floodplain runs through here, but it's well above the regulatory flood protection elevation and is actually out of the 100-year floodplain. The variance petition, as was indicated, dealt with the class 2 soils and the setback from the ordinary high water level. Here's the flood zone. I've got a couple of different maps here showing, on the right is the existing flood zone from 1984. It shows, those 1984 maps aren't quite as precise as you can see the new data on the left. That's not been adopted, but we can use it for planning and zoning purposes. It's the most up-to-date and best data that we have regarding that flood zone. They actually line up pretty well, but you can see on the left, it also includes those base flood elevations. So those numbers and cross sections relate to the base flood elevation as you move up through the watershed. So a conservative base flood elevation for that site would be 722 feet. It would actually, the building site is actually between that 722 and 721, 63. It's not moving a whole lot in there, but again, we're well above that base flood elevation regardless. The existing shed is at 736 feet above sea level, whereas the base flood elevation is at 722 feet. So just wanted to show how that relates to each other. There's a site plan that the petitioners had provided. This is nice. They show how it was developed. They have some riprap along the driveway there because of the steep slope. But as you come further towards the stream there and to the south, you can see the bank comes up close to the riprap, and that's all natural embankment. So that wasn't disturbed by the construction of the building. All of those slopes have been seeded down and reviewed by the DNR. They didn't have much in the way of concerns regarding the soil erosion. I think the petitioners might be able to elaborate a little bit on what they've done and how they developed it, but they were pretty thoughtful in that and have been working to control any potential erosion off the site. And I think that went a long way to calming the DNR review, and they weren't quite so concerned after hearing about what was done there. Keep moving on here. It's got some pictures just to show you what it looked like a few days ago. Obviously, we've lost a bit of snow since then, but the first pictures are of the front of the shed. First one on the left there is from the road and the road access from Lanes Valley Road, showing the driveway. And then on the right a little bit closer, showing the front of the shed. The stream is to the left of the driveway, where you can see the riparian zone with the trees in it there in that photo. This is the back of the building, showing a sunroom there and then another access to the shed. The proposed dwelling site would inhabit the sunroom there, and then that 24 by 32 foot living quarters would be along that side of the interior of the shed. This is on a couple of pictures of the riparian zone along Lanes Valley Creek and the existing building in relation to that. So pretty well snow covered, but we could see while we were out there the natural embankments, the riprap where that had been laid, and could see that there was quite a bit of cleaning up within that riparian zone as well of kind of historic garbage and material. Then just a couple of pictures of the neighborhood showing Lanes Valley Drive. The one on the left is to the south, would be towards La Crescent. And then the one on the right is back up the valley. It tops up on County Road 1, Apple Blossom Drive, at the top of the valley there. New Hartford Township did consider the request on November 13th and indicated no comments as it relates to the proposal. Staff analysis is in support of granting the CUP, and there are 3 conditions related to that. One other thing I'd like to point out is with the criteria, there are additional criteria for the shoreland overlay. So we use the standard 7 criteria for considered a conditional use permit, and then added 4 specific shoreland overlay district criteria that come from the state ordinance. Some of those are a little bit duplicative, so there's some similar responses because they were kind of redundant, but then there are a couple that are very specific to shoreland considerations. So just wanted to point that out. That's all I have for my presentation. Any questions?
All right, it's what you just said there, kind of, it goes into my ears as gobbledygook. You said there's 3 conditions, but there's 7 others?
There's 7 criteria plus 4 additional, so a total of 11 criteria, approval criteria, but then we add conditions on to the approval. So if you were to approve the petition, we recommend 3 conditions. You always have criteria that are approval criteria, right? So that's what you have to make the decision on.
Yeah.
But if you decide to approve the petition, then there's 3 conditions for your consideration,
Okay,
right? It's the way we do everyone.
okay.
There's always conditions. Louis?
Is the stream a water, dry run or is it live?
From what I understand, it is from what I understand that it does go dry from time to time. It's a perennial stream and it is a public water. It does not currently have a trout stream designation, but it is public waters of the state. And so it carries that shoreland designation with it. The petitioners have stated though that that there have been years where it has dried up in this part of the reach.
When the building was originally constructed, did it meet the requirements as seeing it's only 65 feet for a setback, or was that a whoopsie?
I think it was a bit of an oopsie, maybe some miscommunication. The site plan for that original development certificate indicated 114 feet. But once it was built, once they came in, we started looking at it again. We're like, well, that's, we didn't make that 114 feet. Part of it is when you're on site and you're trying to measure with tapes, I mean, there's a decent sized embankment there. You're going to lose a little bit. But I just think that it was lost in translation. At some point, it got moved a little too close, unfortunately.
So
Go
are
ahead,
the
Steve.
petitioners the same people that built that pole barn originally?
They are, and they're here. Yep.
Anything else for Lou? Thanks, Lou.
You bet.
Actually, with that said, it leads right in. Would the petitioners like to come up, state your name and address, tell us about your project?
Gentlemen, my name's Mike Kenhammer, and this is my daughter Sheila, and the property that we're talking to is in a life estate trust right now. It's going to be transferred over to Sheila. I built the building and
For our record, can you just tell us your address? It's
my
formatted.
address is N1337 Lesky Road in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay,
And my address is 1464 Claudia Avenue in La Crescent, Minnesota.
Okay, now go ahead. I
Okay.
just needed that for the. formal
Anyway,
record.
to address Steve's question about the building, I'm a builder part-time, okay? My wife's father was a full-time contractor and I work for him. So I built the building. The building exceeds it ain't really a pole building. It's a ladder built, if you're familiar with that. Where all the main beams in it are 8x8s. The cross girts in it are all 2x8s. It's all ladder construction. The roof normally on a pole building like that would probably be 26 or 28 gauge. It's 24 gauge on the roof, 26 gauge on the walls. All the doors in there are all insulated because I don't like using just a single panel door because they're so cheap and weak. Around the building, I got 2-foot overhangs all over the building. And the landscaping around the building goes out 6 feet. We went down at least 8 inches and put Bosch river rock with silt mat in the bottom of it. The area he was talking about coming off the driveway all the way up, I hand laid 38,000 pounds of riprap and there's 6 and 8 inch breaker rock on top of matting to protect that hill. In the back here, it's very steep and we didn't touch any of that there. The only thing we did is went in and reseeded it. We probably put 800 pounds of different grasses and stuff on there. And being off on the building was a combination. I measured from the building down to the stream, down a steep bank with a tape measure. Okay, so, but the other thing that happened, I had a lady from the ASCS office from New Elm come over at that time. There was a lot of concern about taking tillable soils out of production. And she was questioning if I should do this or do that. And right where the building is, I have before and after. There was a bunch of scrub brush in there, box elders and stuff. We cleaned them out. And I know we moved the building, but I didn't think we moved it as far as we did. To the west of the building, there's a little grade there that goes up maybe about 6-8 feet. And if we'd have moved it up, we'd had to cut into that hillside and probably would have taken a lot more
Prime soil.
soils out of production, okay? We did a lot of work behind the building. There's a drainage box put in the ground there to catch the water that comes down out of the fields with a 14-inch tube that goes down and goes down the bank in the back. We rip-wrapped all that. When we first bought the property, that whole bank in there was a garbage dump for neighbors, whatever. We took washing machines, oil burners, car parts, farm equipment. We took 7 loads of junk out of there and cleaned that bank up and seeded the whole bank down. So I can go on what we did, but the building far exceeds what a normal pole building would ask for, okay? And I've got a whole list of things we did, and I could sit here all night and tell you what we've done to do things, but and then the other thing we did along the east side of the building, we went out 6 feet with that river rock, but we also dug 3 trenches, one in the middle, one in the back and the front, about 6 feet wide, 4 feet deep. And we filled that with washed rock and ran it out to the edge of the bank and then dug down. And actually all the water that runs off the building goes into the rock around the building and then drains into those pockets and goes down. You very seldom see any water even coming out over the hill. The center of the building, of the floor of the building, from there to the creek's 21 feet. I recently, the one map showing the survey that I did that like about a month ago because I didn't think I was that far off. But 2 things too is the county goes to the edge of the creek and we went to the center of the creek. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll entertain anything I can answer for you or tell you more about.
Sure, I've got a question. Since you've built it to now, what's the, how has it been used and what's the motivation to turn it into a dwelling?
Right now, we've got tractors and farm equipment in there. And my grandson hunts an awful lot, okay, and he's out there continually. Plus, we're out there quite a bit. We don't have any facilities there, bathroom facilities or anything. So we'd like to finish that off, and my grandson would like to move in and live there. He has a friend that lives right across two friends that live across the Lanes Valley, and
Yeah, my husband and I both work full-time. There's quite a bit of lawn to mow, so we want him to kind of take that over. For security, because nobody's out there
Right.
right now at all either. And then, in the winter for shoveling snow, making sure snow stays off the roof and whatnot. And just to be able to enjoy it, because without water or bathroom facilities, we don't spend as much time out there as we'd like.
Mhm. And when we built the building, we kind of had in the back of our mind someday of maybe doing this. So that's the other reason why I put a few more bucks into the building and built it a lot stronger than what's need to. I've got all the certified engineering drawings for the truss systems and all that. That far exceeds the snow loads and everything, so.
And then I guess the other question would be how much of, and it's probably in here, but so forgive me for asking you to reiterate, but how much would you say percentage of the building would be dwelling versus still like garage,
20% probably
Oh, that-
dwelling and the rest would be opening. The building's 104 by 50.
Wow.
So no, it'd be a small corner of it. And the corner that we're looking at is on the southwest corner. It's further away from the creek by at least another 30 feet.
Yeah, certainly a humble abode.
Yeah. And we had the ASCS office come in last spring and we recontoured everything and changed all the fields for runoff. We had a few areas that were getting some erosion. So the lady, I forget where she was from. And I've been leasing the land out and my renter died here about a month ago, 54 years old. So, so that's one of the other things we're looking at. My grandson thinks maybe I've got all the equipment. I own another farm. And I've got all the equipment and he's thinking he might someday want to start farming it himself.
Any other questions?
One last, so you hold this in two different parcels. One of them is about a 54, the other one's quite a bit significantly bigger. Why do you hold them in two different parcels and not together?
That's just the way the ASCS office drew it up. They got two farm numbers on this place.
Mhm.
And why, I'm not sure, but,
Because there's a section line, anytime you have property that's in a different section, the system systematically assign a different parcel number.
I hear that.
thanks,
Okay.
Eric.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
I got Gene seconding that. All in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Marsh is with me. When we do vote, so I gotta do an individual vote. So a public hearing is open. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your concerns. Say your name and address. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your issues, your name and address. Okay, third time. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone and state your name and address and your concerns. Motion to close the public hearing.
So
I'll
moved.
move.
Gene moves, Lou is second. Is that okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, all in favor.
Motion to approve with the facts and findings.
Second.
And I got a second from John. Any discussion before you vote?
Where are the conditions? On what page?
I can find that for you. Yeah, I think it's 23 through 25. I could be wrong on that because I read it on kind of.
28.
It's just before
Yeah, it's just before that.
the map on.
Got the findings of facts. depth analysis. Conclusions and recommendations. You know, covered the 7 plus the 4 that Lou was talking about. And mine starts, that starts on 19. And then, second, I think it's the same summary. Starts on 25, goes to 28. I believe that's the same, right, Lou?
Yeah, so there's the staff report. They're the same conditions, but on page 9 of the staff report, which would coincide 23 in your packet, you can find them, and then the findings of fact also include them on page 28 of the packet.
But I'm sorry, Marcia, here, 28 only shows 3 conditions on my packet. Maybe I don't have the right packet,
Nope, that's correct. There's only 3 conditions proposed.
but you referenced 7. I guess I don't see the 7.
Yep, that's the criteria.
Oh,
So if you look at the
criteria.
findings of
Okay.
fact,
Okay, I'm mixing criteria and conditions.
yeah, that's okay.
But 25 through 28 is a good summary of what we've been discussing.
Just a question on condition 3 here. We're depending on the Minnesota DNR and the Winona County Soil and Water to determine whether any restoration orders. How do we enforce? Are they the enforcement of those, or is the county the enforcement of something like that? Corrective measures.
The county would enforce those, but they would recommend them. There will be a site visit and a permit for a development certificate if this is approved. At which time Soil and Water could weigh in, and they may have some recommendations as part of their report that we could then require as part of the development certificate. And this condition just reinforces that. DNR, it was also written before the DNR was able to review. And should be noted that they didn't have any additional comments or suggestions for changes to the riparian zone or anything else relating to the conditions. So it would really just be in our review of the development certificate for the new dwelling, and if SWCD had any suggestions, but we're not really at this point thinking that there may be any.
I don't think that there's a lot if you read through the material. This is not a trout stream. There are no fishing easements. It's no recreational activity. Lou, I think you mentioned, does this dry up?
It'll
Oh, we
dry
heard
up.
it did. So again, I just want us to be aware of what type of secondary stream we're talking about.
Yeah, I guess one of the concerns that I had was the closeness of the building to the stream, but it sounds like efforts were made to get it in a correct location, but because of variance of measurements and that it fell up short. It's still 40 feet short from what it should be. So that was a concern that I had, but I believe that's been addressed.
Yeah, I think the DNR, Lucas Youngsma, he's got a statement on that. In fact, it's the last statement in
Yep.
this that I think adequately addresses that. If there's no other comments or questions, I'll proceed to a vote. I'll start with you, John, and next petition, I'll reverse it, okay? For or against the recommendation?
Aye.
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 Lou?
Nay.
Okay, I'm an aye. Jean is a nay,
I'm a nay.
okay?
Aye.
Chip, aye.
Aye.
And Marcia,
I'm problem by this and where we messed up originally when we placed the shed there and such. And I guess if the unfortunately, if the board, in my opinion, if the Board of Adjustment approved it, I think our hands are somewhat limited. So regretfully, aye.
Okay, aye. Did you get that recorded? And the majority is aye. So the board is recommending this go to the county board for final approval. And your next meeting is January 13th at 9 a.m. here. Okay. So thank you very much. That was 2 nays or 3?
2.
2. Okay, I just wanted to know the official count. And then our next petition is docket PC 12-18-2502. And this is to consider the petition of CMDM Winona LLC, the property owner, and Trevor Klomsky, a land agent from High Point Land Company representative, who seeks a conditional / interim use permit regarding the following: to allow a single family dwelling on less than 40 acres on a new parcel that is proposed to be approximately 1.6 acres in size. It's located in section 30 of Richmond Township. The request is in pursuant of chapter 10.4.6, subchapter 36 of the Winona County Ordinance. There is an existing mobile home and garage accessory structure on the property that would be included with this proposed new parcel. And Eric, you got this one?
I do, yep. I've
Thank you.
prepared a brief PowerPoint to kind of correspond with your staff report. In this case, it's your standard non-farm dwelling or anything less than 40 acres. It requires a conditional use permit. In this case, the applicants have a concept of 1.6 acre parcel to contain an existing modular home and a detached garage. This is located in section 30 of Richmond Township. The farm consists of 241 acres and essentially kind of pointing out the acreage. The main farmstead with farm buildings is located here on that parcel. And they do have a mobile home or a modular home that's located there. Should be noted that what we're dealing with tonight is an existing building site, so there's no proposed new construction. It's just for them to legally divide this parcel as a standalone building site. That site with the modular home was established as early as 1974 for farm help purposes. There was different renditions, different revisions that our department had done. One time it was full-time farm help and then part-time farm help. It did receive a conditional use permit back in the day, and occupancy has been verified throughout the last 50 years. This is a sketch that kind of shows what they're thinking, showing the red box would be the acreage that they would include to make that a building site. It's staff's understanding that they need to upgrade the septic system, so that would be one of the improvements that they would do, because I believe they did have that looked at for compliance inspection. Why it's taking on the additional woods is to make that configuration or that equation for prime soils work. Where the building is and the yard is, that's all prime soil, and they had to at least get enough woodland or rough land to make that equation so that whole parcel would be under 40% prime soil. So they didn't need a variance. I guess that's kind of a long way to get to that discussion. This is the concept that the representative had shown up, rough approximate dimensions. We always warn petitioners not to go ahead and commission a survey until they've gotten the zoning approval. So yeah, that would be the next step should they do that. The beige or cream colored is actually showing where that prime soil layer is on this map. So in the Ag District, the criteria for conditional use permit applies. They plan on using the existing driveway. There is currently an address associated with this. And again, I touched on the prime soil standard, which needs to be met. Again, the picture on the left is kind of what they're thinking as far as the parcel. Picture on the right is, as you would see just this week, kind of shows the existing home and then detached garage located to the left. Another view of that, the box on the left is kind of showing how it starts to slope and it turns to a wooded vegetation associated with it. This is kind of a view looking back to somewhat to the south along Hoosman Ridge Road. You can see the hedge line and the tree line. It's got a natural shelter belt that surrounds this building site. So it makes logical sense in kind of the way they're looking at trying to create the new parcel. This is a view off of Hoosman Ridge Road looking at the main farmstead. That's the original farmstead house, barn, silos, shed. I believe at one time the previous property owners also had a cabin that they had permitted in which it's seasonally occupied. I didn't know if they had relatives or if they had some hunters that were accessing it, but that was also what the file kind of indicated, is that they also have a metal building that had been converted to a recreational use. Petitioners did they did have a discussion with Richmond Township. I noticed there's probably not a signed township acknowledgement form, and the applicant can maybe add or elaborate on that. It's hard to indicate that they had received some verbal support, but there was reluctance on the town board to sign a form. They didn't have a form, I don't think, that night that they met, but the petitioners are still trying to track that down. So I guess if that comes up, we can talk about possible options with that. Staff's recommendation was to support granting this conditional use permit, and we have the two standard conditions recommended as terms of the approval. That, any questions?
Jordan,
I'm curious how this split would affect tax revenue. Would this be a positive for the county?
Yeah, if it's a standalone site, my limited knowledge of the taxing system is they take 1 acre in a building site and that's a premium. And then the balance of that acreage is taxed accordingly to the way it's used. So, it's a different classification. Yeah, so it would probably increase or enhance the tax revenue or the tax assessment for a site like that.
any other questions for Eric? Shep?
Yeah, you kind of showed it in the photos there, but what are we looking at for, like, as we move towards the into the tree line? Is that roughly just flat land, or are we looking at an uphill?
That would be, I believe, going downhill.
Downhill?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be going downhill at that point.
And I mean, should they again decide that this modular home isn't meeting their needs, they build up, are they limited by what size of house they can build for whatever septic can be fit on that 1.69 acre?
Correct, yeah, there'd be a septic design that would be according to the number of bedrooms and the soil type, and the flow. Those are the three in the design. Those are the three factors of the equation on how much square footage they need for the septic. But I think a building envelope of 1.6 acres is a good size, especially to locate a well and a septic. And should they wish to replace that house, that gives them plenty of option, plenty of room. The setbacks that apply for future building projects would be 20 feet from the side yards. That would be their north and south. And they'd have a 50-foot rear yard, or in this case, it would be the east. And they'd have to meet a 65-foot setback from the center line of the township road. But that size it seems to be ample as far as making future improvements for them too.
But they wouldn't be able to go and just build a gigantic manor out this way with the amount of acreage that they're cutting out.
Correct. I mean, there's still the setbacks I just referenced would be the main factors that we'd have to review any future improvements.
Yeah.
What? Now I forget how I was gonna ask. Oh, is there a well on this property now, or is it?
My understanding, it's probably served by a water line, and that'd be a good question for the applicants. My understanding is that the well is probably on the main, and that might have to be, I don't know, maybe there is a second well. That's something
Okay,
I can't
I'll
speak
ask.
to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Eric, Marcia here. Does this restrict any like future feedlot expansions or anything like that in the neighborhood?
There's a footprint of the house, so that's, I think, the standalone limiting factor at this point. It would
So
be-
it would or wouldn't allow a feedlot expansion?
Well, I mean, it currently does by its very existence, that there's a dwelling site there now. The only issue would be is if they took the modular home and they wanted to build a house that was actually closer to a feedlot, a registered feedlot of a certain size, we'd have to remeasure. But to replace like for a dwelling with existing setbacks that are in play, marginally, no, this would be a different situation if it was a new parcel altogether with a new house proposed, but to the fact that we have an existing dwelling, we're already dealing with a set of fixed circumstances and dimensions.
Okay, that particular, the pictures of that mobile home, and I kind of picture in my, that doesn't look that old. You said that was put in back in, or has it been upgraded? I think you said 1974.
Originally in 74, but they did upgrade it once already at least.
Okay.
Potentially twice over the last 50 years.
Somebody else had a question. Was it Steve or Jeff? Okay, maybe okay, thanks, Eric.
Yep.
Would the petitioners like to come up and tell us about your project? State your name and address. Anybody here to represent?
Somebody's online.
Okay,
I'm on Zoom here.
well, whoever's online, just state your name, your address, and then tell us about your project.
Yeah, this is Trevor Glomsky with High Point Land Company, representing CMDM Holdings LLC. The address that we're talking about is 26830 Hussman Ridge Road, Winona. And as Eric mentioned, it's in Richmond Township, Section 30.
I'm also here. I'm Chris Michaels. It is my property.
Okay. We know where the address is. Can you tell us your address so if we need to get a hold of you? State your name and your address, not the property address.
My name is Chris Michaels. My address is 2935 Lily Road, Brookfield, Wisconsin, 53005.
Thank you.
Okay, and Trevor, could you, you stated the address of the location. Can you state your address, personal address as well?
2355 Rangeview Lane, River Falls, Wisconsin.
No, if you both or either one of you can tell us about this project.
Trevor,
Yeah,
go ahead.
This property was recently acquired by CMDM. In the process of the transaction, the septic was out of compliance. So we're in the process of replacing the septic. And Chris Michaels Senior can probably talk about that a little bit. There was a question as well. This property is on a shared well with the main farmstead. So there is a water line, and that well has recently been updated as well. So a brand new well, new septic coming in. And the concept, I brought it to Eric at the zoning office. It's an extra dwelling. I understand it's been permitted for a lot of years, and there's a possibility, given the amount of time that it's been existed dwelling, to split this off as a standalone parcel, which is our goal. And he presented a few things that we would need to accomplish with that. One being mainly the prime soils and non-prime soils and getting that ratio correct. to meet the standards. And I did, like Eric mentioned, present this concept that's in front of you in your packets to Richmond Township, and they had no comment at the meeting. And the signature page for the acknowledgement was missed by me. I didn't get that information until after the meeting, because the meeting was the day after I talked to Eric. And then I'd reached back out and I had missed the December meeting, knowing that I didn't have that signed acknowledgement. But verbally, they said they were okay with things just as long as they kept them in the loop. So my goal is to go to the next meeting and get their acknowledgement on January 13th. So our goal is to split this off as a standalone parcel. Not looking to build a new home or anything like that. It's a great little building site, and it could be a great residential home for somebody in an ag district.
Trevor, I have a question. What is your interest in the property? How are you affiliated with Mr. Michaels?
Yeah, I'm his real estate professional. I actually sold the property for the Lean family and then built a relationship with Mr. Michaels here. And I've been assisting him even before the sale was complete. So,
Gene, you had some concern and Shep.
There is a family living there now.
nope.
It's empty now.
Well, we're in the process of replacing both the septics and the well. So, obviously that's a long process. We got a 633-foot well that just got drilled. So that's should be up and running soon. And then the septics are getting replaced.
630 feet. Somebody else had a concern?
I got a couple questions, Mike, if I could.
Yes.
So for staff, was this a farm help permitted structure originally? And if it's vacant, I mean, that seems to be a little problematic.
Yeah, there was a conditional use that was issued for it. And then there was a review done in the 80s and then again in the 2000s to verify occupancy, that there was at least some farm assistance on there. So yes, I mean, it's not permitted as a standalone, no strings attached rental unit. There has to be some nexus to the property and to that farm for farm help. And yes, we're now at that decision point where if this is going to be used again or sold, that's why they're, I guess, decided to go ahead with this action at this point in time.
Okay, all right. And then a question for Mr. The High Point Land, Trevor. I've seen your name a lot. I think you send me flyers. You're always wanting to buy my property and sell it. So looking at the parcel, are you planning, and then Mr. Michaels, are you there's a lot of woods there and you love to sell woodland to hunters that come in. And I noted that you're both not local, you're Wisconsinites. So, are you planning to subdivide this further at this point in time?
No.
No, I have no plans, and I can pretty much guarantee you that will not happen.
And the goal from the get-go wasn't to sell any of the woods, but the prime soils, meeting that standard is what we're trying to do there.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Gene wants to ask a question.
Is that a permitted feedlot, that original building site, or is that just, is it vacant, or what's the status of that?
Is that a question for me or the staff?
Staff.
Probably both of us. I guess at this point, I don't believe we have a registered feedlot on that site. That being said, they do have an older dairy barn, but I believe there's no animals currently being housed or used for production on that site at this time.
So is the original site being rented out?
Not at this time.
So that's empty as well?
Well, we've just purchased the property and closed 2 months ago. I'm in the transition. I was there yesterday. I was actually there today. We're cleaning things up and I plan to occupy.
Okay, so you're planning to occupy the main house?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you. And we'll open the public meeting. If, can I
I'll
have
make
a
a motion
motion?
to open the public hearing.
Shep makes the motion, open public meeting.
I'll
Gene
second.
seconds it. All in favor of opening public meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. And I heard Marcia, so we're all in favor.
Yes.
But anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone. State your name and address and your concerns. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your name and address and your concerns. And again, for the third time, anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your name and address and your concerns. Hearing none. Anybody online? I don't see anybody there. A motion to close public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the
Chuck,
public hearing.
And Mike Miller seconds it. All in favor, say aye of closing public hearing.
Aye.
Nay of not closing it. Hearing none, no nays, all in favor. Okay, commissioners, what do you want to do? Gene?
Well, I guess I think we got a lot of loose ends in this permit. I understand the owner is going to live there, but this dwelling was permitted in the first place as farm help. Now, does that mean that anybody can buy this parcel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as it's separate parcel.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Use. It's a
Yeah,
new
it-
use.
It's just not gonna be a farm help any longer. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
a separate.
Yeah, okay.
And it's, I mean, with a trailer house and buildings already there, and it's tough to really say no.
Well, right now, there's no use.
Yeah, there's no.
You're stuck because the farm has changed. It's not the same farm.
Right.
And that's 50 years of progress and change and adjustment. So to make this a viable option, this is the reason for the petition before us.
Question, Mike, does this parcel, being that it was farm help and everything, does it have its own address? I mean, it has.
Yes,
it's-
it will.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, does it
It has its
currently
own
have it?
address right now.
there was
Okay,
a
they did
sign
split.
on the-
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
sign.
that has been split
They
off.
needed that for farm help or whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see a little blue sign, so
So we're moving it from a previous conditional use of a farm to a different conditional use for an owner.
For homestead.
Does that make sense? To occupy an homestead. Exactly. Any other concerns or questions or before?
But I'm sorry, it probably really won't be, if it's sold to an independent person, is it still under a conditional use permit if it's a separate parcel? I guess I'd have to ask the recorder and stuff. I mean, are they gonna be tied, the new owner, are they gonna be tied to any comments or concerns of this? It's a standalone parcel then. Would it still be
Yeah.
under a conditional use permit for staff?
And it has to abide by the new conditions that our county is recommending. Because it's less than 40 acres.
Well, as I understand this, we're actually approving it as though it is a 40-acre parcel, so it'll have buildability. You could rebuild on it, a new building altogether. As though this is, again, just a 40-acre parcel, as I understand it.
Only the owner could do a 40 acre. This is only a 1.6 acre parcel.
Oh, yeah, allow me to reiterate
This is separate.
that the new owner of this 1.6 acre parcel, should they want to, and if I understand this correctly, they could rebuild fully a new house, doesn't have to be a modular home.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
This would be afforded any rights as a permitted use for a parcel that is
New
existing.
reservoir.
residential. But as for any of the previous conditions that were laid on this, when this was secondary farm dwelling, those are null and void.
Correct. Since circumstances have changed, this obviously now represents something completely different. There, if there ever became an issue with their abstract and they found that there was a conditional use permit in 1974 that made reference to it, review of the records would show that that really got vanquished by this action currently. In some cases, dealing with different attorneys throughout the area, if they are absolutely creating issues there, we do have a process to completely vanquish a conditional use permit that's of that vintage too. So that's an option we extend to people in the legal circles.
And Jordan, you have a question. Eric, I think.
This is basically, we're at a use it or lose it scenario here, right?
Yep.
Since there's no longer farming operations, this is gonna go away if it's not parceled out. So they're not necessarily doing this just to sell it, right?
Correct. This is to remedy an outstanding record because we get into multiple dwellings on one farm. How are they being used? Is there a nexus to the farming operation and either part-time or full-time farm help? And if that can't be met, then
This
that's
is
an
your
issue.
possibility.
If between the owner and the realtor, if they had a party that wanted to buy the whole farm and they had multiple parties, that's another option. We would have never seen this conditional use permit if they had buyers that could occupy both of those dwellings, keep the farm intact, and they'd all be engaged or owners of that farm.
Yeah.
That's not their preference at this point.
And so this trailer house, essentially cannot be used until somebody actually buys that parcel. They couldn't.
Technically
Move somebody
correct
in.
that, yeah, that
Yeah.
would be
Can't be
the rub.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions for Eric?
He owns the property now. He's
Correct.
just sectioning it off. He'll own two properties. on the
Correct.
books.
But then it's a separate permitted
But
use.
yeah, he's trying to get it off of that farm conditional use
Could be
so he
rented,
can use
right?
it for a dwelling.
If it's on a separate parcel, if this is approved, they could technically rent it.
Correct. I
And you
agree.
asked the question about taxes, then you're looking at a non-homestead tax rate, that would be associated with
renting.
that too.
Yeah.
So again, my input, and then I'll listen to Gene. What do we-
No, I was pointing to Jordan.
Okay, well, it's been repurposed. And as we look at our comprehensive plan, what are we short? Housing, right? This repurposes it to be able to use for housing. Jordan, you brought up the taxation. This will bring more revenue to the township, county, and to the school district because it's repurposed and can be used. If it was 40 acres though, and they bought a whole 40, we probably wouldn't be here. All right, unless there was an issue that I don't see.
It'd be permitted outright.
But,
Correct.
but right now, it's kind of an abandoned property. Because it's not to be rented, because it's for farm use, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So upgrading the conditional use to make it useful for a family or whoever.
As long as there's
It's your
a structure
question.
already there, it makes it a little less,
It's
more
there.
desirable to do it this way. Yes.
And you already heard they're gonna upgrade the sewer and abide by the conditions. So you either close a gate on it and walk away, or you try to do something secondary. That's the way I see it.
I don't.
Well, the way I see, I guess, the way I see it is that once they sell it, then all the conditional use permits would be null and void. Cause it
Correct.
is creating a separate parcel.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the goal here, isn't it? That's why we're here hearing it. And good.
I was gonna say basically everything that you said. I would certainly rather see this, a dwelling remain a dwelling than go away, and I would certainly rather see us increase our tax roll than decrease it or have it stay the same. So for those reasons, I would move to approve this or recommend it for approval, as the findings of fact and conditions are written in the staff report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Louis seconded it. Any more discussion? Otherwise, I gotta start with you, Jordan. Now we gotta say A or nay
I
here
would
for
say
me.
aye.
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 I'm an aye.
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 Marcia?
Aye.
Aye. So it passes unanimously. So their next hearing is Tuesday, January 13th at 9 a.m. Okay, parties involved. Is
Noted.
that okay? Did you hear
Noted.
me?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Pending any further action, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We got a couple more items.
Oh, do we?
One item, I guess.
Good evening, Commissioners. We have unfortunately come to the end of Mr. Flynn's term limits. So-
Sure, anything.
So we are here to recognize his service and appreciation for all the time he has invested in assisting us in administering the zoning regulations in Winona County. Whether he chooses to take a year off and come back, we certainly hope he will join us again. But in honor, I have a piece of paper for you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. And, yeah, thank you. I do want to recognize the staff. You've been great helping me over 6 years with everything, really. And they do a lot of due diligence and a lot of work, as you know, from your documentation here. So, and I'd like to thank all of you guys. And you too, Marcia.
You're welcome, Mike. Thank you.
I think we've done a great job, and I wish you all the best in the future. So thank you very much.
Don't be a stranger, Mike.
Yeah, just don't come in with a petition.
Here, I have just a sidelight if you're interested in Mr. Lean. They said they just bought this, the CMDM Winona.
Yeah.
They paid, Bob Bamanek has his report here. They bought, it says 259 acres. The price was 2.5 million. So they paid $9,672 an acre for that farm. It's a lot of money.
Good valuation. That's good taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I would have owned it.
just drives up the neighborhood though, too. That's a lot of money. I don't know what the guy's gonna do, but anyway, best of luck to him.
Yeah, that kind of precludes just farming it.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna farm it.
Oh, we still have to adjourn.
I'm also moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll
All in
make-
favor, Shep, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sounds like we're adjourned. I even heard Marcia, I think.